Good morning. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing the Fire of Commitment, number 1028 in the teal hymnal, and of course the words will be on the screen. From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the fire that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which commands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. Please be seated.
The story goes that once there was a wise woman traveling all through the mountains. One day she found a precious stone in a stream. She was so happy and grateful. It could change her life. The next day she met a man traveling just like her through the mountains. He was hungry and she was happy to share her food.
But as she opened her bag, the man saw the stone, and he knew with this stone he would be able to eat all of his favorite foods. His mouth watered, imagining all the incredible flavors and all the ways his life would be filled with so much goodness. Instead of the food, he asked, "Can I have that stone?"
The woman looked at him. Of course. And just like that, it was his.
The man was so happy, he ran away quickly, afraid she would change her mind. A few days later, however, the man appeared again, carrying the stone in his hands. "Take it back," he said. "Instead, I hope you can give me something even more precious than this precious stone. I hope you can give me whatever it is within you that made it so easy for you when I asked to just give it away."
May the light of our chalice this morning remind our hearts that in this place, for this hour, we are all trying to learn how it is when we are asked to trust, to love, to give of ourselves, to share our blessings, that we can say an easy and great yes.
And also, we are here to remember we all carry with us a precious stone that is this great blessing, this gift that is just ours.
This gift that we long to offer the world, that in our giving will bless us all the more. So good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, or ERUUF as we like to say. My name is Reverend Jacqueline Brett, and whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your race, your gender identity, whomever you love, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we welcome you here in beloved community with us. And if you're visiting for the first or perhaps even the second time, we invite you to rise in body or spirit so that we might give you an ERUUF welcome. And if you're online, we invite you to put your name in the chat so that you may be welcomed there as well. And we thank all of you for choosing to spend this Sunday morning with us on this day that ends daylight saving time. And we all got to have an extra hour of sleep. Well, we get early darkness too, so it's all right. But at any rate, now would be a great time to turn off or down any devices you might have on your person. And for those of you who are visiting, if you have any children with you, your children are welcome to join our children in the religious exploration classes just right after the time for all ages. Just follow the rest of the kids and the parents out, and you'll be directed in where to go. I would like to introduce a few people to you here this morning, and we're going to begin with two new members of our staff. Come on up, guys. So I am so pleased to introduce you to Caleb Graves and Michael Singletary. Caleb is a newly created position of justice coordinator. So he will be working for the first time ever. We have someone on staff who will be working with our justice ministry. Yes. And Michael brings to us, is going to be working with is joining the office team and is going to be a member of our Sunday tech team as well. And so just to tell you a little bit about their backgrounds, Caleb just graduated from Duke Divinity School with his MDiv and somebody back there went like this. So just graduated with his MDiv. He has lots of background in doing justice work, both locally and in Arkansas, where he's from. And Michael has a great background in theater, which I like, and fabulous purple hair, which you all know that I love also. And Michael also has this fabulous and terrific background both with technology in terms of camera work and presentations, a lot of which he learned working in museums, both in New York, one of my most favorite museums, the American Museum of Natural History, which I spent a lot of time in when my guys were little, yes, and museums locally as well. So join me in welcoming them both again. And take it easy on them. They're new. Be kind and gentle. They are also here part-time. So, we look forward to perhaps extending those hours as we think about the year to come. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And thanks, guys. So one of the really positive things that happened as a result of the pandemic was the establishment of November, the month of November, as Giving for Justice. We first did that during the pandemic when we wanted to help out urban ministries, and they still needed to feed people, though we were all shut in. And so we took gave our Sunday plate for the month of November to that organization. And after that, we've been doing that every year since. And so this year, the organization that was voted unanimously by the Justice Ministry, there was no other organization suggested. They all agreed to give our plate in November to the organization You Can Vote. Yes. And so here to speak on behalf of You Can Vote is its executive director, Kate Feldman. And Kate has over 20 years of experience in community organizing and electoral politics. She launched You Can Vote in 2014 following the U.S. Supreme Court decision in Shelby v. Holder that rolled back key protections of the Voting Rights Act. YCV is a permanent educational campaign that provides localized, fact-based voting information, mobilizing volunteers to empower voters, and builds community leadership. Since 2014, YCV has educated and empowered millions of voters across the state of North Carolina, some of them right here in this sanctuary. And the organization has grown exponentially to serve 24 counties and counting. Prior to founding You Can Vote, Kate worked in community organizing and electoral politics for over 10 years. Born and raised in Minnesota, she began her political work as an intern in the late Minnesota Senator Paul Wellstone's 2002 campaign. Kate then moved to North Carolina, where she began working in community and civic organizing in 2008, and she lives here in Durham with her family today. Please join me in welcoming Kate Feldman in her orange shoes.
Good morning, ERUUF. Thank you so much for your generosity and seeing this as the generosity of heart service. I just want to say that this congregation really does embody this call to generosity. 10 years ago, when I had the idea to start this organization, y'all believed in it. Even before I fully believed in it, people showed up. It takes people to show up. So the congregation got trained and got mobilized and got to work. I remember Jennifer McDuffie and volunteers from ERUUF going around and registering voters in this precinct. And we were onto something. Voters started to turn out, and this was a much needed service explaining how to vote with these new upcoming voting rules. In 2016, the ERUUF team doubled, and we ended up registering 13,000 voters that year in the Triangle primarily. And if you remember, the governor's race was decided by 10,000 voters. So ERUUF helped us really build this organization to be strong in the Triangle. And then in 2018, came back together and helped us recruit volunteers beyond Durham. The demand was there. People wanted to have their folks trained and mobilized. So we had partners across the state that wanted help, they wanted volunteers, and they wanted to know how to do it. And ERUUF helped build the capacity to make that happen. In 2020, y'all did calls in the shutdown, and you answered the calls, and we got out the vote with historic levels in 2020 despite the pandemic. From that first launch and training, we are now in 64 counties, not 24, 64 North Carolina counties, 10 years later. We're in public schools, community colleges, health hospitals, health clinics, jails. We are reaching voters and registering voters, and after next year, we'll have reached over 100,000 registrants since we began, because our goal is to register 24,000 voters in 2024. And in order to do that, we have to have 240,000+ conversations with voters, and it will take all of us to get out of our comfort zone, to not wake up the day after Election Day in 2024 and wish we would have done more. Now, this congregation has stepped up to the call every single time, and I am so grateful. We would not be here, we would not have grown if it wouldn't have been for the generosity of heart of these members of this congregation. So I ask you to continue to lead like this and get involved, and know from a quote from our Eastern North Carolina organizer, Miss Gloria Taylor, it takes each of us to make a difference for all of us, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you.
Good morning. Indeed. I see some people already. Come on up. You're right. You got it right. You know what you're doing. Come on up. It is time for our Time for All Ages, and I see people already coming on up. Well, good morning to you. I see people already squirming up and rolling up and ready to hang out and have a little story. Hello, far distant person who I think is heading our way. Yes, indeed. And hello, far distant person already over there. And hello to all of you who are sitting comfy in your pews. Are you coming down too? Excelente. This is a story that I read and actually I kind of fell in love with. It's all about giving, and I think what's interesting is sometimes people in this story give in the same way as other people, and sometimes they give in different ways than other people. So when we give to each other, what can we give to each other? What's something you can give to somebody? Anybody? What's something you can give to somebody? What's something? What? Robux? Yes, you could give Robux to somebody. What's something you could give to somebody? Kindness. Yes. So what we give to people doesn't just have to be a thing. It could be like a feeling or how we treat somebody. What's something else we could give to somebody? A flower. We could give a flower to somebody. Yes. What else? Love. Yes. So we have another example. A flower is a thing. A love is like a feeling. Yeah. A what? A necklace. Yes. Yes. All of these are great examples. A present. Yes. So we're going to have some giving in this story. Yes. A Christmas ornament, yes, might especially be good for Christmas. All right. Once there was a wide open field and a boy who loved his grandmother, who loved him back, and they were happy. See, there's the grandmother and there's the boy. The grandmother gave the boy many gifts, like big hugs and bigger laughter, and the very biggest Sunday morning pancakes. Now I'm hungry. But she had more to give. Small gifts like acorns, tiny and shiny with wild and woolly caps. Most of the gifts she gave to the boy were ones that he could not hold in his hands. Like all of her wisdom about how things grow. The boy watched and wondered until one day, oh, what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? What do you think happened? Yeah? Yeah, a plant grew from all this planting that they're doing. They're doing some planting. When will it be bigger than me? He asked as he dreamed of swings and secret spaces. In reply, his grandmother gave him another gift, patience. The boy had a birthday, and the tree reached his knees. The boy had another birthday, and the tree reached his shoulders. The boy's grandmother had a birthday, and he gave her many gifts, like a poem, a picture, a crown, maybe like a crown of flowers, and most of all, his love. How about that? And she loved him back, and they were happy. Until one day. Yeah. Oh. Do you know what happened? What happened? She died? She died? Is that what you were going to say too?
I don't know what I was going to say.
Yeah. It was very sad. Slowly, slowly, happiness spread its roots again. The boy's grandmother had taught him to ask for help when he needed it, and so, remembering, he did. He watered and weeded while he watched and wondered. He's getting so much bigger. He grew tall with wondering, still dreaming of swings and secret spaces, but not for himself. Once, there was a not-so-wide-open field and a girl who loved her father, who loved her back, and they were happy. Do you recognize the father? Yeah?
It was the boy.
It's the boy.
Grandma.
It was the boy with his grandma, but now he's older. The father gave the girl many gifts, like piggyback rides and plump strawberries and bedtime stories about his grandmother. So a little bit of a different gift. He also gave the girl acorns, tiny, shiny things with wild and woolly caps. But he had more to give, like all of his wisdom about how things grow. When will it be bigger than me? The girl asked. And he explained how love, even when given to the smallest of things, can spread up and out and grow bigger than she could ever imagine. Together they watered and weeded, and in time they found shade, a home, and strong, thick branches that were perfect for, a swing. That's one thing he was dreaming about when he was younger, but he got to give it to her. And this was on the tree that, who planted? He and his grandma, yeah. They watched and waited and wondered. The girl grew and the trees grew and their love grew and spread up and out while the girl dreamed of secret spaces, but not for herself. Once there was a field dotted with trees and a boy who loved his mother, who loved him back, and they were happy. Who's this mother? Have we met her before?
I'm the girl.
It was the girl, yeah. The boy's mother gave him pancakes made from her great-grandmother's recipe, topped with strawberries from her father's patch. A different gift. And hugs and laughter and piggyback rides and bedtime stories about their family. Oh, yeah?
I get it.
Good. Yeah, you get it? It's the family, right?
Yeah, the grandmother, the boy gets a kid, the girl gets a kid.
Yeah.
And it keeps going.
It just keeps going.
So cool.
Yeah. And piggyback rides, yeah, and bedtime stories about their family and its love of green growing things. The boy's mother gave him acorns, and together they planted and watered and weeded and watched and wondered from their secret space. This is the first time a secret space showed up, which wasn't very secret. The boy and his mother shared their wisdom with anyone and everyone about how things grow like trees and people and kindness. Who said kindness? You said kindness. Be careful with those toots there. The boy always had more love to give. And he got love in return. Was it bigger than him? It was. You're right. It was much bigger than he had ever imagined, and that is why he was happy. Once there was a forest. And this is the last page of our story. But do you think this is the end of the story? No. It just keeps going and going. And people keep giving and giving and building love in a family. And again and again and again, yes. And that's right. Right. And now we're going to head out to our religious exploration where we will continue to learn about giving and giving and giving. Woo!
Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing number 402. It's in the gray hymnal, From You I Receive. The words are right there on that one slide. We'll sing it through maybe 4 times together, and feel free to harmonize as you are moved to do so. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. To you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. One more time. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. Please turn and greet your neighbor.
Please join me now in the spirit of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life, we welcome the gifts of this day and lift up our joys and concerns. We celebrate the joy of fellowship of all of us, just as we are, welcoming and accepting, gathering as one heart in our shared humanity. We give thanks for the many ways we can find a sense of belonging here, a place of refuge and purpose, grounded in shared values. A place where we seek to live with a spirit of creativity and generosity. A place where we celebrate with gratitude the opportunity to come together in faith, community, and love. As a people who care for one another, we lift up our prayers and concerns. We hold in our hearts all children everywhere, that they may know healing and support. We hold in our hearts and pray for the people of Israel and Palestine. We are one global family living tenuously on the same human-impacted earth. Let us center ourselves in justice as we call for peace. With generous hearts, help us to see how we can embody and be the change we seek to see in the world. We hold in our hearts people here and all the world over who have been forgotten, who are marginalized, and who may have lost hope. We hold in our hearts all those in our community and in our own families who suffer, who mourn, who are facing illness or loss, or the everyday difficulties of life. We hold in our hearts the heart and soul of the world. May we find ways to come together with deeper understanding, create peace, and put compassion into action. In a spirit of unity, we lift up all of our prayers and blessings. And let us breathe in peace and breathe out love and honor this moment in silence together. And so it is. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free. Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free.
In the Talmud of the Jewish tradition, the sage Hillel said, "What is hateful to you, do not do to others. This is the whole of the law. All the rest is commentary."
In the Hindu legend of the Mahabharata, the divine Krishna declared, "This is the sum of duty. Do nothing unto others which would cause you pain, if done to you."
It is written, it is taught, may it be so.
Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free.
Gospel of Matthew in the Christian scriptures, the Messiah Jesus says, "Whatever you wish that others would do to you, do so to them."
In the Buddhist text of the Udana Varga, the student is urged, hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful.
It is written, it is taught, may it be so.
Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free.
In the Muslim hadith of Al-Nawawi, the Prophet Muhammad teaches, no one of you is a believer until he desires for his brother what he desires for himself.
In the Tang Shai treatise of Taoism, the seeker is instructed, regard your neighbor's gain as your gain, and your neighbor's loss as your own loss.
It is written, it is taught, may it be so.
Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free.
In the ancient wisdom of Shinto, there is a saying, the heart of the person before you is a mirror. See there your own form.
The Oglala Lakota spiritual teacher Black Elk wrote, all things are our relatives. What we do to everything, we do to ourselves.
It is written, it is taught, may it be so.
Many windows, one light, many waters, one sea. All lifted hearts are free.
Amen.
Good morning. A few weeks ago, a good friend of mine won one of the highest honors in science fiction literature, the Hugo Award for the Best Novel of 2022. I'm very proud of her, and I'm very happy for her, and I'm also super jealous. Some authors see other authors as the enemy, that if someone buys your book, they won't buy mine. That's not true. People who like books will buy books. Most of us have the opinion that the rising tide lifts all boats. But let's not kid ourselves. When an author sees someone else's book become a huge hit while ours languish in the clearance bin, we can get wildly jealous and bitter. It can also hit when an author we don't like succeeds. It's tough to manage the emotion. I've discovered more often than not, the person you're jealous of has someone they're jealous of. Even the authors at the top of their game tend to be jealous. In science fiction, the best-selling authors are jealous of the ones who win the awards, and the ones who win the awards don't make as much as the best-selling authors. Jealousy is a mean little emotion. It makes me want to sit under a blanket in my room and pout and feel sorry for myself that I'm not a best-selling author. I don't like the feeling. It's sour and small, and makes me think things about myself that I would never say to anyone that I love. But I have figured out how to fight it. I congratulate the successful authors. This is not congratulations with forced smile and gritted teeth. The sentiment must be sincere, or I'll feel even worse. When we're jealous, we look inward. We look at our poor little soul, feeling like the kid on the playground that no one wants to play with. But I've learned that if I'm looking outward, away from my own personal hurt, I can celebrate others' achievements. Then no matter how jealous I started out, I always feel better. What feels even better is telling other people about this amazing author and their amazing book. When I'm secretly jealous of someone, but I promote them and their book, that act of generosity helps me. To me, it feels like jealousy is made from a strange energy that needs to be released. The energy is kinetic, and if you capture it inside, it just makes you feel terrible. But if you let it go and share the energy with someone, it's much sweeter. It's not a magic bullet, it's not easy. It takes personal strength to throw off that warm blanket and stand up and shout to the world, not about how awesome you are, but about how awesome someone else is. Feeling sorry for yourself is so much easier, and that blanket is warm, but you won't feel better. When people talk about generosity, many think the subject is about money, but it doesn't have to be. Authors often succeed by word of mouth. A friend of mine was a self-published author 2 years ago, and then his book blew up, became a New York Times bestseller, and he's about to go on a book tour. I've never had a book tour. Am I jealous? Of course. But I'm not sitting here feeling mean. I'm interviewing him and telling the world about how awesome he is and how amazing his book is. And I'm really happy for him, and all of that is true. My little emotional reaction is just that, an emotion. Emotions are difficult to control, but you can choose not to surrender to them. You can use that bitter kinetic energy and turn it into action that helps change the emotion. And that helps both you and the person you're jealous of. Notice that I said are jealous of, present tense. I can't promise you that my little trick of generosity will completely erase the jealousy. It won't. I'm just being honest. But it will dull the sharp edges. And it's a lot better to acknowledge that you are jealous and then go about your day than to lock yourself into your weeping closet and sob your heart out with tissues in one hand and half a chocolate cake in the other. So maybe the next time you get jealous of someone who has something that you want, say congratulations. Tell them you're happy for them. Tell them they deserve it. More likely than not, you'll feel better. And when someone praises you, smile and say thank you. It could be your gratitude just made them feel better. Thank you.
I always love how Mer speaks the truth in her reflections. That really hit home. So earlier this year, a group of about 50 ERUUFians went on a civil rights pilgrimage to Alabama. And notice I did not say tour. This had been a long-awaited trip that was planned before the pandemic. And on the morning we were to leave, we gathered here at ERUUF while it was still dark out, and everyone was really quite excited. And Diane Blount, the trip's lead organizer, with her team of planners, had hot coffee and tea and breakfast items awaiting us. And there were also these unexpected goodie bags, stuffed, absolutely stuffed with all kinds of items, from sensible things like notebooks and hand sanitizer, and the most beautiful printed ERUUF name tags that I'd ever seen. And she also included every sweet and salty snack that you could imagine. And there was I think at least one piece of fruit as well. It was all quite thoughtful and beyond anything most of us had expected. And the bus pulled in, and we all collected ourselves and chased one another down and eventually loaded up onto the bus. And somewhere along the way between ERUUF and our arrival at the hotel in Montgomery was when the complaints began. Now, don't get me wrong, it was not especially egregious, but when you're attempting to manage the needs and expectations of 50 people, it can certainly feel like a whole lot. And asking people who are filled with nervous excitement and no too small amount of privilege to simply trust that all things were being taken care of, that they need not worry, was also a lot, both for them and for our trip's organizers. And I'll return to this story in a moment. So just as we heard in the choir's music for meditation, there are certain core values that just about every spiritual tradition or world religion has something to say about. Whether it is the golden rule or treating others as we ourselves want to be treated, though among some people this has now evolved into what is referred to as the platinum rule of treating others the way they want to be treated. And our world religions also have very specific things to say about giving. Giving generously, giving freely, and without conditions. That no matter how wealthy or how poor we are, when we share our blessings with others, our giving multiplies and we receive far more than what we gave, even when there is no prospect of a return. It is also generally believed that we must give first, and that to expect to receive without having given something is to violate universal law, as well as to give in order to receive. In other words, to give with strings attached or to curry favor. That too is condemned. As with so many things that we humans incorporate into our belief systems, this is no accident as we live in community and come to understand through observation and practice what seems fair and just for the well-being of all. The law of Judaism teaches, "For the poor will never cease out of the land. Therefore I command you, you shall open wide your hand to your brother, to the needy and to the poor in the land." In Christianity, it is said, "He who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully." Each one must do as he has made up his mind, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to provide you with every blessing in abundance so that you may always have enough of everything and may provide in abundance for every good work. In the Ituvutaka of Buddhism, it is said, if beings knew as I know the fruit of sharing gifts, they would not enjoy their use without sharing them, nor would the taint of stinginess obsess the heart and stay there. Even if it was their last bit, their last morsel of food, they would not enjoy its use without sharing it if there were anyone to receive it. The Islamic hadith of al-Nawawi, the Prophet Muhammad teaches, let him who believes in Allah and the last day be generous to his neighbor, and let him who believes in Allah and the last day be generous to his guest. In the Rig Veda of Hinduism, it is said, he who gives liberally goes straight to the gods. On the high ridge of heaven, he will stand exalted. And the Yoruba proverb from Nigeria teaches one must pour cold water on the ground before he can tread on soft soil. And the Winnebago or Ho-Chunk Nation of Native Americans say, see to it that whoever enters your house obtains something to eat, however little you have. Such food will be a source of death to you if you withhold it. And among our newly proposed Unitarian Universalist values, it is said we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. It is this last teaching among UUs that suggests that all the teachings of all sources of religious tradition and spirituality is more than commands or the rules decreed by some far-off God or cultural variation or mythical, magical thinking. It is the acknowledgement that we are interconnected and are in interdependent relationships of mutuality. It does not take long to be in close community with others to discover that this is so. We all discovered this during the pandemic. And as Martin Luther King Jr. said 60 years ago as he sat in a Birmingham jail, I am cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Despite all of these teachings and exhortations, however, we here in our Western culture tend to give most of our attentions to WIIFM. What's in it for me? It is a transactional way of being in which we consciously or unconsciously are thinking about how we might benefit from the actions we take. Or as psychologist Dr. Mara Karpel says, what will I get out of this interaction, behavior, or supposed gift? Or we might be attempting to convince others of how they might benefit from an action we're trying to convince them to take. Whether we're bargaining with our toddler who refuses to eat or get dressed, or when a marketer or salesperson is attempting to convince us that we should buy something. What's in it for me? what's in it for them. Even in our justice organizing, a core goal when having a relational meeting with individuals or groups is to uncover what is their core self-interest, or where their attention is when engaging with WIIFM, what's in it for me. So there is nothing inherently wrong with some of this. Sometimes to motivate people or to get them to see why it's in their best interest to take a particular action, whether we're talking about a 2-year-old or a 50-year-old, it's a helpful thing to find out what they care about and to remind them that this is why a particular action would be in their best interest. It only becomes a problem when our underlying motivations are about our interests and are the only reasons why we do what we do. We're not thinking about what might solely be in the best interests of someone else, whether we benefit or whether we don't benefit. That's not even considered a best practice. However, what if we were to counter these so-called best practices? What if we, instead of worrying about ourselves and holding our hands and heart tightly clutched around something we want for ourselves, we instead opened our hands and hearts wide, moving out on faith and trust that in an interconnected and interdependent network of mutuality, we all benefit in ways unseen that we might not fully understand or even directly find out about, not ever. As the woman in our opening words who found the precious stone that could change her life replied with grace and ease, "Of course," to the man who asked, "Instead of food, can I have that stone?" Was that ever an act of generous faith? I thought about this a great deal, and I have to honestly say, I don't know that I would have given him the stone, not really. But it was such an act of generosity that this man actually came and gave the stone back, desiring instead the exquisite gift that was in this woman's heart. The interesting thing about generosity is that not only does it ripple out beyond us, but it also nourishes something within us that ultimately does benefit us. Elizabeth Dunn, a behavioral scientist who is not to be confused with Elizabeth Dunn, who is here at ERUUF. There's Elizabeth back there, reaching at Elizabeth. So this other Elizabeth Dunn, she studies links between money and happiness and is co-author of the book Happy Money. And she proposes a possible link between generosity and physical health. She and colleagues conducted an experiment where they gave people some money, $10. I suspect they were college students. And they said to them, you can keep all this money for yourself, or you can give as much of it as you want away. And what they found was that the more money people gave away, the happier they felt. And the more people kept for themselves, the more shame they experienced. And the more shame people felt, the more the researchers saw their cortisol levels rise. This is significant because cortisol, as some of you likely know, is linked to stress and disease. And over time, elevated levels of cortisol causes wear and tear on the body. On the other hand, a lot of generous behaviors are associated with positive consequences for health. For instance, engaging in volunteer work is good for longevity. And so when you see me coming or calling you, you don't have to run away. Just, I'm interested in your longevity as well as the good health of ERUUF. I really am. Dr. Maro Karpel reports that several recent studies have found that being generous increases our ability to cope with physical pain and symptoms of chronic diseases. And volunteering has been associated with significant decreases in blood pressure, stomach acid, and cholesterol levels, and increased immunoglobulin A, which boosts our immune system. In fact, volunteering has been correlated with a lowered risk of mortality in older adults, as well as better sleep. Perhaps it is said that this phenomenon can be related to what is known as helper's high, a release of endorphins, the mood-elevating and pain-reducing chemicals produced by the brain when we engage in an act of generosity. An ongoing study at the University of Notre Dame called the Science of Generosity Initiative has found that people who demonstrate more generosity tend to be emotionally happier overall, physically healthier, and to have a greater feeling of purpose and meaning in their lives. Something to think about. So one important aspect of generosity is that often when it is spoken of, as Merce said, we often assume that we are talking about money, or a transaction based on some form of reciprocity. I do for you, and you do for me. As someone once explained to me he said that he gave in order to get, and he was serious about it too. In our culture, this is not generosity at all, but transactional favors. In popular movies and television shows, there is often a hero or perhaps even an anti-hero who does something for someone with the understanding that they may someday come back at some point in the future for the favor to be returned. This is one of the ways that WIIFM stays on the station. But rather than self-interest, the key thing to know about generosity that's often encouraged in spiritual and religious traditions is that it's ultimately about relationship. When we're cultivating relationships with others, we come to understand their intimate needs far beyond what money can offer. The need for compassion, for kindness, as the children said, for understanding. Simply listening to someone as they share their heart and their concerns, which, as my colleague Angela Herrera says, is a soulful and momentous gift to give another. Or giving someone a ride or something to eat, or the very generous gift of our time. Dr. Viktor Frankl, who, as many of you know, was a concentration camp prisoner during the Holocaust, wrote in his now classic book, Man's Search for Meaning. He said, "We who lived in concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the huts comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken away from a man but one thing: to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." Frankl found that one of the most powerful acts for keeping oneself sane during such an insane situation was to find meaning in helping or giving to other people. So, back last spring, as the 50 intrepid ERUUFians made their pilgrimage through Montgomery and Selma, Alabama, a time during which many tears were shed, as well as much laughter, stories shared, and the depths of our hearts touched and explored together in community. And we found ourselves absolutely transformed, which is exactly what distinguishes a pilgrimage from mere travel. Members of the group helped one another throughout the week and came to know each other well, came to know our concerns, our joys, and what made our hearts break. To this day, members of the group share with one another events that are going on and readings they find out about that they believe would be of interest to the full group. But the real telltale sign of our transformation was that the complaints and critiques ceased as we, with humility, came to understand all that we were receiving from Diane and her crew and from others among us. And we slowly began to understand what we too had an opportunity, if not the necessity, to open our hearts and generously give, holding love and compassion at the center, whatever we have, not only for one another, but to this fractured country of ours and to this hurting world, with no underlying reason except that we know it as a core truth, no matter who we are or what our lineage is or where we came from. It is written, it is taught, and may it be so. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be. So each week, we as a congregation gather together and we give. We give generously of our talents and our time and our gifts, including our treasure. And so today's offering that we give will go to You Can Vote. And as the greeters come forward to pass the plates, and I think they're coming. Yes, they're coming forward to pass the plates. If you don't have anything material to place in the plate at this time, you can feel free to point your device at the QR code on the screen, or you will find a card in the pew rack that also has a QR code that you can point your device at, and it will take you right to ERUUF's giving portal.
It takes a whole village to raise our children. It takes a whole village to raise one child. We all, everyone, must share the burden. We all, everyone, must share the joy. It takes a whole village to raise our children. It takes a whole village to raise a child. We all, everyone, must share the burden. We all, everyone, must share the joy.
Thanks for all of the gifts of this beloved community and for the generous gifts of singing.
Please rise and sing with us. Please rise and bow to your spirit. We're singing Love Will Guide Us, number 131 in the gray hymnal. Words are on the screen. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, home inside us will lead the way on the road from free to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot sing before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, home inside us will lead the way on the road from free to giving. Love will guide us through the
This morning's closing words are from author Isabel Allende, who writes, "Give, give, give." What is the point of having experience, knowledge, or a talent if I don't give it away? Of having stories if I don't tell them to others? Of having wealth if I don't share it? I don't intend to be cremated with any of it. It is in giving that I connect with others, with the world, and with the divine. And I hope you will too. May we all go in peace, my friends, and go in love. Amen and Ashe.